The Utah Jazz thought they had the perfect game plan. In order to combat the ultra-small ball the Clippers were starting out with, they'd let Rudy Gobert cover Terance Mann, a guard 7 inches shorter than him, and basically concede the corner three. Not a bad idea considering Mann was shooting an anemic 22% from behind the arc up until that point. And the answer to the question, did it work, had to be an unequivocal yes, as they built a 21-point lead midway through the third quarter on their way to a Game 7 at home tomorrow. But all those easy shots they allowed in the first half came back to haunt them in the second, as Terance Stanley Mann put the Clippers on his back, dragged them to the finish line, and ended the season for the Jazz in one of the most incredible, intense, and thrilling comebacks to end a series we've ever seen. It all started when Royce O'Neal allows middle penetration from the right wing. The help should be from Mike Conley, the lowest guy in the weak side, but Rudy is trained to help stop penetration no matter where he is, and he moves into the lane from the strong side, opening up the pivot pass back to the corner where Mann has the wide open look. With the hobbled Mike Conley being forced to switch onto Paul George and taken down to the post, Rudy correctly rotates from the weak side to offer support against a big mismatch. While Mitchell could have properly rotated to the wing on the skip pass, it was abundantly and later painfully clear that the Jazz were going to let Mann shoot no matter what. In transition, it's hard to keep track of who's guarding who, especially when the ball handler gets right to the basket, but Mann waltzes by Mitchell and then beats Rudy to the ball before yamming this tip dunk right back in the hoop. With the stare down, Mann suddenly achieves the glow, and the Jazz have turned a guy who was averaging 5 points a game into someone that believes he can achieve world peace. Now that Rudy can guard Zubats, he can finally play his normal position, so when Joe Ingles takes a terrible angle following Paul George to the wing, he's instantly beaten. Rudy correctly rotates to help, Clarkson bumps down to help the helper, and isn't in terrible position on the closeout. But here's where I have problems with Rudy's defense. There are too many times when he doesn't contest the shot at the rim, as Mann tosses it in Rudy's face. But none of Mann's surprising 14 first-half points had one iota of an effect on the game itself. The Jazz exploited the Clippers' defense for 29 minutes, primarily behind the 1-2 punch of Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson. These two did it with a mixture of ridiculously hard shots, the kind of buckets you have to imagine aren't sustainable throughout a whole game, but you're more than willing to accept, as they maintained control of the game until Jordan Clarkson started looking like another guy with those initials in the second quarter. The double ball screen out top has proven problematic for most teams in the playoffs this year. Just ask the Sixers trying to stop Trae Young, and the Clippers switched the first ball screen to get Kennard on Clarkson. Luke never gets between his man and the basket, and we know they want to attack him any chance they get, as Clarkson slows down his last step to make the easy runner. I think Ty Lue went to a 2-3 zone here, and Mitchell wisely splits the two guards out top, sucking them in and opening up the easy wing three when Kennard wants to maintain his zone with the shooter in the corner. It was audacious to put Reggie Jackson as the center of the zone, but look how small they are. Reggie has a 7-foot wingspan, but he needed a couple more inches to stop the easy layup. The reason I preach no middle defense is to prevent ball handlers from getting into the paint for easy shots. Watch Mann's feet as he drops that left foot back, inviting penetration that way. Without a big man down low, you're just asking Clarkson to score. Another reason to prevent middle is defending the pick and roll. Rudy could easily get a lob here, but now that Clarkson gets to shoot from inside the paint, look at the kind of roll he gets. This would never happen if you forced him to the baseline to shoot. It's possible that the crowded Staples Center had an effect, as we're seeing more and more people streaming into the arenas in the playoffs to add that pressure-filled atmosphere. And if you want to be part of the action live, then you must use SeatGeek to get tickets to any concert or sporting event. They find tickets from all over the web and grade the prices to make sure you know you're getting the best deal. It's amazing that we're able to see these incredible athletes in person again. And whether you're a Jazz fan and want to join in on the playoff P chant, or join Clipper Daryl with a Let's Go Clippers, SeatGeek can help find the best available seats. Plus, I can get you $20 off your first purchase using my code BBALL. That's right, forget anyone else's code and use mine by clicking on the link in the description below, and SeatGeek will allow you to attack your list of all the shows you want to see this summer. Just like Jordan Clarkson attacked the Clippers defense mercilessly, he deflates the entire arena with a simple ISO sidestep 3-ball that increases the lead to a robust 18 points. I imagine Ty Lue at halftime told his troops, if they can hit us with a 21-2 run, then we can hit them with a 21-2 run as well. And that's exactly what happened, as the Jazz defensive game plan proves you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, the chickens come home to roost, and letting a player have wide open shots always bites you in the butt. This drive starts from the left side, so that means Rudy is on the weak side and should help. Mitchell should be the guy to X out to the corner, but they continue to stick to their plan, letting him lick his thumb and check the wind. He's so wide open. The Jazz turned the ball over 6 times in the third, 4 of them from Mike Conley alone, and they were turned into 11 points, with 2 coming on the old fumble the dribble on the ground while 2 defenders watched me turn and shoot a layup trick. We could give credit to Mike Conley for giving it a go in an elimination game. How he got to play 25 minutes looking as rusty as he did was coaching criminality. This is usually a pass to Conley and then a handoff right back to Mitchell, which was open. Why Conley tries to force the issue here is strange, and Mann gets a nice steal on the quick help. No one can stop this man now as he's been turned up to 11 and the lead is only 14. With Rudy guarding Mann, they move him to the weak side corner to lure Gobert to help. Conley allows Jackson to back him down to the restricted area. Rudy hovers, and watch how Mitchell decides to deny the pass back out as they expect Rudy to contest the corner 3. He doesn't get anywhere close, and it's another corner 3 ball. With Mann in the left corner this time, it's Bojan's turn to properly take away middle, and as George drives down the lane line, the help should always come from the weak side. But Rudy is simply trained to help no matter what, even if it's the big no-no one pass away off the corner on a guy who's hotter than molten lava. I love the ball screen set to the low block by Paul George, which forces Bogdanovic to deal with the drive. And look at the big brain on Terance. As he executes a great ball fake, Rudy has no idea what happened, and it's a layup. Again, a 15-point lead is sizable. You're almost towards the end of the third, so whatever you're doing is working, right? Well, I think I've made it clear that the grass is always greener, don't bite off more than you can chew, and never let an inexperienced guard shooting 20% have wide open threes. It's Rudy's job to rotate off Mann to help on the drive. Clarkson reaches in and gets blown by easily, while Ingles is supposed to close to the first pass. More evidence that they're still willing to give Mann the open shot despite being 4 of 6 from behind the arc at this point. And now, Mann has got the stadium crowd thinking he can cure world hunger. Pat Beverly is always overhelping all around the court. No need to bump down here with PG already in position, but in the war between who is hotter, Clarkson blinks first, and Mann does his LeBron impersonation by scoring over, around, and through 3 Jazz players, with Rudy again not contesting the shot. While it's easy to blame Rudy for what happened in this game, let's not forget he was caught trying to cover for teammates who routinely got beat off the dribble into straight line drives. Watch what Joe Ingles does. Rather than close to the first pass like a normal defense would do, he stays at home on Morris as if this is the first quarter of Game 3 and we're not witnessing the levitation of an entire stadium by a shaman who just did peyote and met God. But when Mitchell hits yet another tough step back 3 after forcing Kennard onto him, you thought maybe the Jazz would get control of this game again. But Clarkson allows a baseline drive, reaching around at the end, and Gobert has no choice. He must help. Mitchell is in good position. His only job is to close to the first pass, and Bogdanovic would rotate to Kennard if the extra pass is made. But the initial game plan must still be stuck in his head, and they let Beverly shoot a practice shot. He fumbled the pass initially, the release wasn't smooth, but this is what happens when you intentionally give up so many open shots in the corner. We finally see an adjustment defensively. Rudy decides to shadow the ball handler since none of the Jazz defenders can keep the ball in front. They do a great job to rotate back out to the perimeter and bottle up the attack. But it still means Rudy is zoning and everyone else is in man. And while he's busy step sliding to the right, the ball is being swung quickly to the corner to the Clippers' best player open in the corner for another triple. Mon Dieu! Since Mitchell is beat up, the Clippers know they can attack him off the dribble. No zone by Rudy to offer support on this, but why isn't he contesting this from the side to both stop the shot and prevent the pass back to his man in the corner? Instead, he just watches the shot drop. Mitchell easily gets between the 2 defenders in the pick and roll. He collapses the defense in the right place to pick a corner, any corner, but instead he goes up against 2 defenders with a wild double pump twisting bank shot that Rudy cannot keep alive. At some point, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league wasn't going to keep shooting 30% like they did in the first half. When O'Neal drops that right foot back to open the gate into the middle, Rudy is forced to be in the paint. That means Bogdanović must close to the first pass. So this is a completely wide open shot, and now it's a 7-point lead. I don't know why the Jazz brought Paul George's man up the screen for Mitchell. He's probably their best defender. But on the second screen, the defense switches and Donovan catches PG one step too low, allowing Bogdanović the nice look from out top to staunch the bleeding temporarily. But it was this possession that spelled the beginning of the end for the Jazz. They force Clarkson onto Paul George in the ball screen, then patiently go to work on the mismatch. Gobert even comes over to shadow, but it doesn't matter. George is just too good. It wasn't like the Clippers were much better at keeping the ball out of the paint. Reggie gets beaten easily. Clarkson is going full speed on the jump and can't control the energy as he releases it off target. Here's another problem Rudy has presented for his entire career. He's got bad hands. Now, they've gotten slightly better over the years, but his value as a giant amongst the tiny people is negated when he cannot hang on to this offensive rebound. It's also the reason they cannot give him the ball in the post to score against guys a foot shorter than him. In transition, they give up a wide open three, but long rebounds are common and Rudy cannot turn around fast enough to protect the rim as Jackson throws the beautiful bounce pass to who else as the lead grows to 5. We've seen the Clippers double Mitchell out of the pick and roll a lot in this series, and when Batum switches onto him, LA wants to negate the advantage with Beverly coming over to harass. The cut needs to be to the free throw line. There's no way Mitchell is completing a 40-foot pass across the court like this. In a hurry to get back, the Jazz are forced to cross-match with Gobert on George. He finally does his job to protect the rim, but Conley doesn't box out, and Batum keeps it alive. At least now, the Jazz are matched up properly as Reggie gets them organized. Having learned his lesson the shot before, George doesn't try to attack the paint, but catches Mitchell not even trying to contest the 16-footer, and that shot is pure. The Jazz still don't send someone to the elbow to relieve pressure on a double team, but this is why Conley is in there, a secondary ball handler that can create after an advantage. But in his rustiness, he throws the pass at O'Neal's feet, lowering his percentage dramatically. And even though they get the rebound, they waste time doing nothing with it until Mitchell allows his drift and rushed release to affect the shot way short and to the left. And if you wrote the Hollywood screenplay and put this possession in there, no one would buy it, saying it was unbelievable. But Paul George collapses the defense, Conley does go to the first pass properly, but the ball moves so quickly to Batum that Gobert doesn't have the time nor the instincts to react. And it's Terance Mann who calmly sinks the corner three-pointer that effectively ended this game, as the Jazz could not really get back within striking distance the rest of the time. This is the second year in a row where Quinn Snyder and the Jazz have given up a big streak to their opponents to lose the series. Last year it was 3 straight wins by the Nuggets, and this was 4 straight by the Clippers. And while I hope I showed that it wasn't all Rudy's fault on defense, it's completely clear to me that he's not the guy you need to make a deep run in the playoffs. With his contract, I don't think they can move him, but the Jazz are left with a perennially flawed team that looks awesome in the regular season but flames out in the playoffs. And the Clippers, without Kawhi Leonard, have made a huge statement to the entire NBA, and the Suns had better be ready to handle this. At least Phoenix is healthy for the most part, but can they contend with a team that can go on runs with spacing and shooting the likes they haven't seen yet in the playoffs? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.